Welcome to the Endurance Horse Podcast, where endurance riders from all across the globe gather, sharing their stories, goals, and progress as they train for and compete in endurance events at every level. So kick off your shoes, pull up a chair, and listen as we gather around the virtual campfire and listen to friends from across the world.
Horses. Hello.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Endurance Horse Podcast. I am your host, Christina Hike, and today we are heading out west into the heart of Nevada's history to talk about one of the most iconic rides in endurance. Today, I'll be talking with Tami Rougrau, ride manager of this year's Virginia City 100. We'll be talking about her passion for horses, how she became a ride manager, and what makes the Virginia City 100 so meaningful. Imagine, if you will, with me, horses gathering in the dark and the chill of night still clings in the air. In the early morning, you can still see stars glittering above the historic streets of Virginia City, where miners once chased a different kind of silver. Today, riders and their horses set out on a mission to capture silver of their own, the buckle or bracelet awarded to those who complete 100 miles and finish healthy within 24 hours. We'll also chat about how Warhorse Endurance is teaming up with Nevada All-State Trail Riders to make it possible for riders all around the world to join in through the virtual Virginia City 100 Challenge. By signing up, you'll be supporting this historic ride. So without further ado, I bring to you the next episode of Endurance Horse Podcast. So good morning, Tami, and welcome to Endurance Horse Podcast. It's so good to have you today.
Good morning. Thank you. It's good to be here.
So today I'd like to talk with you about Virginia City 100. But first, as I always do, I would like to know, how did you get into horses?
Well, I've kind of always been interested in them, but I got into, after college, I had friends with horses, and then I moved to Reno and was able to get my own. And I've sort of done a lot of different things with horses, but I was boarding at a barn and we saw this trail ride that was a competition, and it was right in our backyard. And so 3 of us went out and tried it, and it was our very first endurance ride. And we had so much fun that we kept going to local rides, just doing limited distance. And at the time I had a thoroughbred, so he wasn't really cut out for long distance, but he'd go 30 miles and lay down. And at that point I decided I needed a horse that would go further. So through a series of interesting circumstances, I ended up with my first Arabian, and she ended up being my Tevis horse eventually, many years after I got her. And after that, I've seemed to have collected them up. So they came into my, I've always loved them. You know, growing up, my friends all had horses, and we rodeoed and rode and did different stuff with them, playing around. But I didn't get to have my own until I was well into my 20s. So,
Did your family have horses growing up?
Nope. My godparents had a ranch. And so I would go out and hang out at the ranch, and my cousin and I would, help with the horses or help with the cows and play around with the horses. But my family, we lived in town, little town, but horses weren't part of our growing up routine.
So what was it about endurance riding that has obviously made it stick for you?
Pretty well stuck. I started in 1997, and like I said, I'd done some hunter jumper and some dressage and showing and different things like that. But I think what made endurance special was that you didn't need any special equipment. I didn't have to pay a trainer. I didn't have to stay completely dust free, which when you ride in the desert, there's dust everywhere all the time. So it was a lot more independent, and I got to spend a lot more time with my horses. You know, when you're training and you've got to spend 4 or 5 hours a day with your horses. And then when you get to compete, you're out for anywhere from 4 to 24 hours. So I appreciated the bond that I got with the horses, and I appreciated the independence and not having to have special equipment and special horses and special trainers, and kind of get the freedom to do what works for you. And the nice thing about endurance is it really is truly for everyone. You don't have to have a lot of money to do it. You don't have to have a $50,000 Grand Prix horse. Your pickup and your bumper pole with your, rescue horse will get you down the trail and have you competing just fine along with everybody else. So I like the inclusivity of it and the freedom that it gives you. And we get to actually go places and see things that other people wouldn't get to see.
Right. So you are involved with the Virginia City 100. And how did you become part of ride management, and what drew you to this event particularly?
So Virginia City 100 was my first 100 many, many years ago on my first Arabian fancy. And it was the local 100. And it was just kind of famous here in Reno. Like if you were a Nevada endurance rider, you just envisioned riding the Virginia City 100 and the historic trails. And I was part of a club called Nevada All-State Trail Riders as a member at the time. And my friend helped me get through it. And after that, I was just enamored with the ride. I didn't get to do it every year. It's a tough ride, and you gotta train for it. That trail is pretty unforgiving, but it's also very doable. I appreciate the fact that, it starts in front of the Delta Saloon and the Bucket of Blood, downtown Virginia City, right there on Main Street, in front of the rooming house that Mark Twain started his riding career in, and the miners and the trains and just the whole history of the West seems to culminate right there. So being a history buff, I really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Over the years, as my, sort of life went on and I eventually retired, I became more active with the NASTR group, the Nevada All-State Trail Riders. I was already managing the Red Rock Rumble, and I manage one of my own rides that I've been doing for about 25 years. And over, time, our original ride manager, Connie, had to retire from management. Krista took it over, then she needed to retire from it, and they needed a manager. And so I was president at the time and decided that that was probably my responsibility to do. And so I took it over I guess this will be my third year managing it. I've been the secretary for it. I've co-managed when we had fires that forced us to combine two rides together. And so it's just been a lot of fun. And so that's really what got me. I sort of fell into it, for lack of a better explanation. But it's always been a treasured ride. And for most people, they kind of get addicted to it. A lot like, there's people that have to do Tevis every year. We have people that just need to do Virginia City every year. And it's a challenge because we have a lot of growth and development like every place else in the country. So trying to keep the historic parts of the trail incorporated, it's requiring us to do a lot of work with private landowners now. And it's been really refreshing how supportive the landowners are of this ride and the history that it brings. This will be our 56th year doing this ride.
You were a little bit touched on another part I would like to talk about, which is the actual trail. And so you already touched on the start of it, which you could expound on. Could you also weave in there a little bit about base camp?
Yeah, so base camp has moved around over the years. When it originally started, it was down at what was, I think, a stage stop and rail depot in town. There's lots of old pictures. If you go to our Nevada All-State Trail Riders website, Connie Creech is our historian, and she posts some of the best pictures of people with their station wagons and their bumper pole, and everyone slept in the back of their truck back then. And then it was moved up to the Ice House for several years. And the Ice House is a historic building in Virginia City, which is where they literally stored the ice that they would haul up by oxen cart and mule train from the Truckee River. And they would haul it up the mountain, and that's literally where they stored the ice for Virginia City. And so that was great. And then Community Works kind of started storing stuff up there. We ran out of room, not great trailer parking, just some encroachment stuff. And so we eventually moved down to the fairgrounds, which is also in Virginia City, kind of just down from Main Street, about 3 blocks down from the actual Main Street. So the nice thing about the fairgrounds, we have a lot of room. We can have a lot more. It fits and accommodates the bigger trailers that everybody seems to have now. And we can have a lot more participants. And the nice thing is you can just walk 3 blocks up the hill and you're in historic Virginia City.
Wow.
Surrounded by historic buildings, the old train depot, the old church, and the mines and the museums and everything that's wonderful. Great restaurants, shopping, all of that. It's just a wonderful venue, and it makes it very attractive. It's still a work in progress. We're working with Virginia City and the Tourism Council. Eventually they need to have some more electricity, more lights, more water, but it's a work in progress that I think is going to be a great venue for a lot of things over the coming years. And it gives us good access to various different trail areas. The nice thing, the other very interesting thing, and you can look up Virginia City history, and it's wonderful. It's where the Comstock lode was. It was the center. I'm not sure if it was ever the capital, but it was pretty much the center of the Nevada Territory for a long time during the silver and gold rush days. And lots of history of the state of Nevada, the Civil War. There's a lot of history. I could go on and on. But so the start of the ride is, like I said, downtown in front of the Delta Saloon and the Bucket of Blood, which is where it has always been. It goes down through town and eventually makes its way down in front of the cemetery, which is where the real trail starts. And then you head down into 6 Mile Canyon, 7 Mile Canyon, up over Sign Hill, and out through, it used to go out through the petroglyphs and up to Lockwood, but that area it just got to be too beat up. So over the course of time, the trail has changed. We obviously can't cross 395 or ride along 395 anymore. So we keep everything on the east side of 395. But there are sections of the trail that are original. And like I said, we've had to work with homeowners. There's a huge development out there that we have to ride through. We go by the fire station. You're riding amongst wild horses. It's not unusual to come over a hill and see a huge herd of wild horses just standing there. They, for the most part, leave us alone. Although there is a couple harried stories from some riders over the past years that have encountered stallions or whatnot. But for the most part, they are just curious and they leave us alone. We go down to Washoe Lake. We have the infamous SOBs, which are a series of 3 very steep up and down hills. And those are a challenge. Up through the reservoir, back through Virginia City, up over Mount Davidson. So there's a lot of climbing. There's a lot of hills on this ride, a lot of rocks, but there's also some real good footing. Sort of the motto that we adopted many years ago was, "I'll take mine on the rocks," to describe what draws riders to this. And you're like, well, you got to like it on the rocks if you like Virginia City. And then the ride finishes at that same cemetery. So you're coming into a historic, 1700s, 1800s cemetery that you come into at the finish. Not actually in the cemetery, because that would be bad, but you're in the parking lot where the cemetery is. So you're riding through a lot of history when you do this ride.
Do you have any favorite parts of the trail, and does it still ride along any of the Pony Express route?
I think that there is a small section that I think is still Pony Express, because I think they did bring the ride in there, but I think for the most part, we are north of the Pony Express right now, which is a little sad. We used to be able to go down more by Mound House, and we've kind of gotten away from that. So we're not really on the Pony Express anymore. Could that come back eventually? Maybe, as we're looking at having to, again, change the trail due to, various growth and development things. We got pushed out of that area when they reestablished the V&T Railroad. Horses and trains aren't two things that go typically good together. But we may be able to relook at that eventually. I think probably one of my favorite spots would be Bailey Canyon, another very famous part of the ride. You're about 30 some odd miles in, And Bailey Canyon is this long uphill canyon that meanders through basically a boulder field. And there's a trail, and it's been there for a long time. People always say you only ride Bailey once a year because it's tough, but I would probably ride Bailey more than once. It's very doable. It's very scenic. I remember the first year I did it, I misunderstood at the ride meeting that someone was asking if there was beer in Bailey Canyon. And I thought, well, that's kind of a weird place to have beer, but whatever. These are endurance riders. And I was still pretty naive at the time. And what they were asking for was if the bear still lived in Bailey Canyon. And so apparently over the years, there's been a bear that lives in Bailey Canyon. I've never seen him or her, but I've heard stories of people riding along and seeing it. And there's certainly evidence that there's bears in there, but I don't think that they are endurance achievers. So I think they probably just leave us alone. So I like the Bailey Canyon section. Riding up over Mount Davidson, coming off Mount Davidson as the sun is setting is a beautiful view over. You overlook Reno and the lights are coming on and the sun is setting. That's pretty spectacular. So I think those are probably my two favorite spots.
I think it would be a good time to talk about who is Nevada State All Trail and what is their mission and what are some of the things that they've accomplished?
Yeah, so Nevada All State Trail Riders has been officially around since 1968. Their primary mission is to protect and promote historic trails and to host endurance rides on those trails to help with the promotion and the protection. And over the years, we've done a lot of trail work. We've been out at Fort Churchill and put in the River Trail, which still exists and we still use it on our Nevada Derby ride. Several other groups use it. We put in a mile section of the Tahoe Rim Trail, which is a trail that goes around Tahoe, around basically the rim of the mountains above Tahoe. It also touches on part of the PCT. We've done a lot of work at Washoe Lake State Park, which is a great equestrian park. They have equestrian camping. We have a lot of clinics there. A lot of clinicians come, people come riding. There's a trail trials course out there. So lots of work in there. Up on the Tahoe Rim, we're working with the Truckee Meadows Trails in Reno to reestablish some historic trails out kind of towards the highlands and the east side. And that's actually the section that we're really trying to work with them on is part of the very original Virginia City 100 ride that is now going to go through a couple of developments. And so we're working with them to keep an equestrian easement through there. Hopefully if we can connect it in, maybe bring it back to the Virginia City ride.
Really important work because as you already pointed out, there's a lot of places in the country where, there's trail loss.
It's real important that trail advocates, equestrians are real good at using the trail, and we're even pretty good at working on trail. We're just not very good at talking about it and capturing the data. So AERC, American Endurance Riders Conference, we have a trails committee, and we have a way for people who work on trails to go on the website and you can log your equestrian trail hours. You don't necessarily have to be a member. If you're working on trails, you can go and log your hours. It doesn't count on private, if you're just doing trails on your own private property, it doesn't really count. But if you're on public lands and you're doing trail work, log those hours and talk to your local your trail groups, your backcountry horsemen, Nevada All-State Trail Riders. We keep track of all of that, and it goes into these larger studies and publications. We just, American Trails Association, I think it was, just published a huge study that they did on the economic impact of equestrian use. And it's a fabulous study, and we impact the GDP a lot more than people probably realize. I think that's a big takeaway if you're in a trail organization is capturing those trail hours. If you're working on the trail, capture those hours and make sure somebody knows. If you're spending money, we do grants. We've got a grant out with the Tahoe Rim, again, to put in to expand some horse parking and make that section of the trail more horse accessible. And we gave them $5,000 towards that project. We used to do a lot of hands-on work, but we're all kind of getting older. So now we do a lot more, grant and, the smaller hands-on projects. But Nevada All-State Trail Riders gives money and grants to a lot of different areas that are trying to preserve historic trails for equestrian use. And that's our only ask, is that it has to be equestrian friendly and encourage, not discourage, equestrian use. So we're working with some other trail groups to try to keep that equestrian equity, because in our area, mountain bikes and e-bikes seem to be kind of taking over the trails. Yeah. And we need to learn how to work with those groups to keep our equities and keep things open for horses.
Do you provide grants only to trails in Nevada?
Nope. We have supported trails in California. I'm not sure we've gone outside of that, but that's why we're Nevada All-State. Is that if somebody has a project that they're working towards and it's a historic trail that supports equestrian use, we are interested. We're not Nevada members only. We have members from all over the West, and we welcome members from anywhere. It's pretty cheap. $15 to belong to an organization is not that bad, and then it's a $10 renewal. And all of our funds, 100% of our funds, go towards supporting trails preservation, and promotion of trails.
So if listeners wanted to join, where do they join at?
So you can go to NASTR, Nevada All-State Trail Riders, NASTR.org, and right on our homepage is a button that says Join Here or Join Now. And you can click on that and it will get you to our membership page, and you just sign up and pay your $15 or $10 and $20 for a family membership, and you can become a member. That gets you our monthly newsletter, minutes to all of our meetings, invitations to any event that we're having, notices of meetings. All of our member meetings are done. We have an in-person, but we also do Zoom. So no matter where you're at in the world, you can listen in and participate in the meetings. Wow. And if people have a project or something that they want to have heard, we acknowledge all of that.
That sounds pretty neat. I think when we get done here today, I think I'm going to go join just to be able to support your group and get the newsletter. Sounds like you're doing great things to preserve the trails.
Yeah, we work really hard. We have a Facebook page, Nevada All-State Trail Riders. You can join us on the Facebook page. We post a lot of interesting stuff with Virginia City coming up. Connie will be putting all kinds of great historical pictures, black and whites from back in the 60s, and lots of key characters that were the founding members of AERC and what really brought our sport to where it is today. So it's a good time to be following that Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the ride, can you give us the dates of the ride? And then I'd like to just bring up that we are going to partner with you to do a virtual.
Yes, it's very exciting. We are so excited. It's going to really open the doors to people who either can't get out to Nevada to do the ride or just can't do a 100-mile ride. You'll still be able to do it with this wonderful Warhorse virtual ride experience that we'll have. So everyone will get to sort of ride along. The actual ride is September 20th. We are looking for volunteers. We need lots and lots of volunteers. We have 3 away vet checks, which is a big challenge, and most rides have gotten away from doing that. But if you want to have a big loop ride, you have to have away vet checks, and that takes a lot of volunteers. So we're actively seeking volunteers. If you want to fly in and volunteer for the weekend, there's lots of hotels to stay at, and you can have a nice vacation in Virginia City. But we're super excited. We've wanted to do a virtual ride for a really long time, but being an all-volunteer organization that we all have just so many hours in the day. So being able to partner with Warhorse is really exciting for us to bring the trail and the history alive to a greater audience is super exciting. So we're going to get you those maps and those pictures and the key points and some little historical blurbs from Connie to tell us about the various areas on the trail. And we hope to make it really fun and exciting for people.
I hope so, because I like to learn about history too. And just the start of your event sounds amazing. To be able to follow along, I know that all the Warhorse people love to, well, not all of them. There's a huge amount that follow along with Tevis. Is there any chance you guys are going to have any live feed at all at some point, or will there be videos posted later where we can follow along?
Yes. So I'm going to attempt to do some live feeding. I've been told I need to be better at my social media. So I've been working on that. I did that with my last adventure. So we're hoping to be able to be at the start and actually live feed the start as people are in front of the saloons and as they go down, and then in front of the cemetery as well. And at the various points along the way, wherever I can catch people, we'll be trying to do some live feed. I have some volunteers that are really good at it. So I'm going to try to get them to do it and post as we can as well.
I think that is going to be great. That's exciting because we all like to be part of this positive community that we've created with Warhorse, which is super involved, engaged, and just encouraging of each other. And they really like to be part of supporting events like yours when they might live in New Jersey and they're never going to make it out to that kind of a ride. They still want to be supportive of it and be part of it.
Right. Absolutely. And we're open for everybody. Our motto kind of is there's something for everybody in Nevada. We host 5 rides a year, plus mine is the 6th. And we have another one that makes 7 Nevada rides. And they're all sort of linked in one way or another. We have intro rides, limited distance, 50, 75, and 100-mile rides. We have series rides. So if you ride all of the intro rides, you get an award. And all of our intro riders get awards. They get awards, they get meals, they get everything that everybody else does. And then if you finish the series, we have a series for limited distance. We have a series for 50-mile riders. And then we have the ultimate Triple Crown Challenge, where you ride the Derby 50, the NASTR 75, and then the Virginia City 100. And that we call the Triple Crown. And so that's really the sort of the pinnacle that people strive for, is to get that Triple Crown accomplishment. But if you're an intro rider, you can do all of our intro rides. And at the end of the year, you get a jacket and you get recognition just like everybody else. So it's a lot of fun out here. And we like to promote that endurance really is for everyone. Everybody gets a seat at the table. Everybody gets to have fun. And it's the fun and the challenge that you make it.
So could you expound a little bit on your program, on how do you get new riders in? I think you've touched on it with your awards program, but is there anything else you do with clinics and outreaches, or how do you grow your organization and get new riders into the sport of endurance?
We have some amazing volunteers, and like most horse people, we all belong to various different clubs. And so we have started doing outreach with the trail rider groups. We have High Desert Horsemen. We have another group out in Fallon. We have the Arabian Club here, Comstock. And so what we've done is we've done basically outreach with them and said, hey, they want to do trail rides. We offer trail rides. So come do an intro ride with us. Come volunteer with us. And that has built a huge, and I don't want to say huge, but a really nice sized community of intro riders and trail riders. Some of them are like, yeah, I think I could do an LD, after doing intros for a while. Others are like, nope, me and old sis just want to do these little intro rides. This is for us. And so I think because we celebrate everybody's challenge, endurance is what it is to you. I think that makes it really appealing. And so going out to these other horse organizations and showing them what we have to offer and inviting them along brings them to us. We obviously always encourage people to volunteer and be part of this larger community. And then what that has done is brought our members, sort of open doors to, oh, what do you do in your group? So we've got members who are going to horse shows. And so sort of that commingling of what is becoming a smaller and smaller equine community.
Right.
And that has really paid dividends for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make it affordable. It has to be something that people can afford to do, especially if they have kids and young ones. And, we've got people who are show jumping one weekend and doing an intro ride the next weekend. And then they come out and they volunteer and they bring their kids, and then their kids get into it. And the kids see other kids riding, and what do kids want to do? They want to hang out with other kids. Mm-hmm. So if you have a whole group of kids, the kids want to hang out with kids. They don't want to hang out with us old people. And so we make it fun and appealing. We've got a barn, relatively local, that has really brought in a lot of juniors, and that has enticed other juniors. Maybe not co-located with them, but other kids see that happening and like, oh, I can do that. And then, of course, that requires mom and dad to participate. And pretty soon you have a little family that's coming along with you. And so that's kind of how we've done it. We just small little inroads here and there, and attracting people and sharing all of our resources.
I think that's
so anybody's interested is welcome to give us a call. Look on our webpage. We also do endurance clinics. In the past, we've done trail trials. We haven't done those in a really long time. That's another thing. We just try to keep all avenues open.
So that was something we touched on yesterday when I talked to the other ride manager, was that the total population of people in the United States that owns horses is 1% of the whole population. So when you divide that out by, breed organizations or people who compete or don't compete, and then down to endurance, it's a small group and it's getting smaller. So I think it's beautiful that you're reaching out, because I've always thought, 4-H groups and stuff, but, other trail groups like you're doing is perfect, or other show groups. And I think the horse community has a chance to do exactly kind of what you're doing, is expanding and connecting with each other, networking with each other, right? Just like businesses can do, connect and network and become stronger. And then I think that gives a better base to grow from. So I commend you guys on what you're doing. I get that question often when I talk with people, is how can we start to revive the horse community, protect the trails, grow the distance riding community. And I think what you're doing is just the perfect example of it.
Yep, we all have to work together.
So that's what we're going to do with this virtual, right?
That's it. And we are so excited. I can't thank you enough. This means a huge amount. When I brought it up at our meeting, everyone was real excited. And when can we sign up? So we are looking forward to launching the promotion of it on our Facebook page and on our web page, and getting going on it. So it's really exciting. And just talking about it quietly behind the scenes, we have a lot of excitement about this ride. So really, really looking forward to it, and sharing our special little corner of the world with hopefully hundreds of other people.
It is special. And I know you're not a museum, but your ride is kind of a living museum, because it's collecting the trail history. And Warhorse has historically, we started out financially supporting Pony Express, the museum. We traveled down there to St. Joe, Missouri, and we gave them a plaque with 500 riders on it and made a donation to them. And then we helped with a smaller donation to BB Ranch, Chincoteague Island Museum. I think it really is a little bit of the core of Warhorse to help preserve this.
It is.
This is just so exciting to get to be a part of just the history, just to be part of what you guys are already doing. That's just amazing stuff.
It's really the history of the country when you start thinking about it. It's all linked. So we're super excited. We love Warhorse. We're all big fans of it. In fact, a couple of us talking, I'm like, I don't think I did one last year. Oh, I think I got busy. I'm like, okay, now I need to get out. I need to go sign up for tennies. Yeah. I love that ride. Spanish Peaks and Wahatoya is such a special area, and you're supporting each other, riding our rides, and it's a very big deal.
We have to thank Tenny for this, because she'd contacted me. She said, I want something for my people to do. We're having a rest year. We're going to be back, full throttle 2026, but I'd like to have something to be front of mind for everybody and something for them to do. And I said, absolutely, we'll do that. So then I started thinking, like, who else would maybe this benefit? And so Jim and I discussed it. We'll do 4. And so we have 3 on the dance card so far, and a possible 4th. So we're really excited. And thank you, Tenny, for the great idea. She always has great ideas. And then one thing we don't give away is T-shirts, because I'll just be honest, I don't want to deal with returns or anything like that. So I was wondering if you guys have a place where people could possibly buy T-shirts if you're going to do them. What Tenny decided to do was go through Bonfire, which is a page I usually go through if people want T-shirts, because it's all auto ship. I don't really have to deal with it. So if you're interested in that, I can even cut this little part about the T-shirts out of the podcast. But I can point you that way, unless you guys already have somewhere that you sell T-shirts through.
No, I think that would be great. I would love to point that in the direction of my award coordinator, Kim Melio. She does a phenomenal job with our awards. I think Virginia City probably gives out some of the best awards. Every rider walks away with a goodie bag at our ride. She just does an amazing job. And so if we could share that T-shirt experience through some other venue, we tend to not do too much in T-shirts, because they're kind of a pain with the sizing and everything. But if we had a venue like Bonfire, that would be great.
It is great. And somebody just has to take the time to learn it and upload your financial stuff and do that, which I don't remember even how I did. I just did it a couple years ago, but I don't remember it being that hard. But, and Tenny did it within hours, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, Tenny's amazing.
She is. She is. Yeah.
She's an amazing human. I really respect her a lot. And I can't wait to do the real ride next year.
I know. And it'd be great if we could get some live from there too and follow along.
And we're gonna take another note from Tenny, and we found a way to get through the Chinaman's Wall, and there will be a new section of trail with a little extra history this year. So I probably just let the cat out of the bag. But, yeah. Riders this year are going to get something extra special. So we're going to have a wall of our own.
That's awesome. I'm looking so forward to working with you guys. I'm so glad this came together. Thank you for everything you do. And we will definitely get this podcast out by September 1st. And we're working very hard to open the virtual by September 1st. And you'll have as long as you need to complete it, because Warhorse understands that life happens. So if you guys want to sign up for the 100, for Virginia City 100 virtual, you can do that through warhorseendurance.com starting on September 1st. And Tami, thank you. It's always so fun talking with you. And send that artwork over, and we'll get this thing fired up.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it. Thank you very much. It's always great talking to you, and we are very excited to work with Warhorse.
Thank you so much for riding along with us on this episode of Endurance Horse Podcast. I am your host, Christina Hike of Warhorse Endurance, and we appreciate your support. It has been a complete honor to sit down with Tami and chat about the legendary Virginia City 100. If this episode inspired you to saddle up, chase your dreams, or even made you chuckle at the sound of a few chickens in Tami's barn, then we've done our job. Ready to log your own miles and become part of our story? Visit warhorseendurance.com to sign up for our latest virtual challenges, and especially the Virginia City 100 Virtual Challenge. Until next time, ride steady, be kind, and remember, the trail might be long, but you're never alone, and it's always worth it. Bye now.